Thanks. So, Jason, when you claimed that you killed an alien, can you explain what happened? What did they do with the body afterwards? Where did it go?
Honestly, that was part of their job. I wasn't tasked to do anything with that. That was it. We just went in to take care of the dirty work. We left. They took us off with a helicopter, and off we went. We went back to wherever, and they would make us go unconscious. They'd give us some kind of shot, and you'd go unconscious again. And the next thing you know, you'd be back in your bedroom and waking up the next day.
Do you see how?
So you had a dream?
Jason,
I don't know about
yeah.
this one.
Honestly, for many years, I thought that, is this just nightmares I'm having, or is this real? Because it's very realistic. I would wake up feeling like I was there, and sometimes I'd actually feel like I had injuries where in what I thought was my dream, that I had injuries in the dream, and I was like, this is just not right,
Do you see how? No, and thank you for answering. But real quick, do you see how, from our perspective, or people who don't believe your stories' perspective?
Yeah, it's the same thing that abductees go through.
Well, hold on a second. You seem to be able to answer. You can explain away the lack of evidence at every single level. There's nothing. There's no detail being provided at all. It's just.
But I don't even know the locations where, there was one memory I have of going into a cave. I got no idea exactly where that was.
But how did you go from a Visual Basic programmer to an assassin of aliens, dude? Like the Nexus.
No, I became a programmer after that.
Okay.
Oh.
If you were in our shoes, would you believe your story?
I would sit there and have to listen to it and go, gosh, I wasn't there, and I'd have to make my own decision, just like you guys have to. That's all I care about. I mean, you ask me a question, I'll give you an answer. It's up to you whether you want to accept it or not.
Yeah.
You can sit there and bag on me all night, but it's not going to get you anywhere or me.
This is incredible that this is how your mind works. This is the reasoning process that you engage in. Okay, fine.
I cannot. I mean, there's no answer I can give you that's going to satisfy your curiosity, because
we want some evidence, Jason. That's our basic thing.
Nobody was sitting there with a camera when I was doing all this stuff.
So we want some corroborations from your the other people you worked with. We want documentation.
People that already corroborated. You don't know about it, but behind the scenes, there are some people that were investigated. They found them and they corroborated. Okay,
but we're just trusting your word on that. So again, that's meaningless.
Yeah, honestly, you would have to literally petition, for freedom of information on, what ERA was provided and what the ICIG was provided and what Congress was provided. And good luck with getting them to come clean on everything, because I don't know what they think.
And would you be willing to help in that? Would you be willing to help drive that effort?
I've already asked for all the records, and they still don't even give it to me. I even called up about my own clearance.
Did you FOIA them?
And they refused to tell me what was going on.
Did you file a FOIA request for these?
Yes, I did. I have a copy of that, yeah. But I did not ever get responded to.
Did you tell Congress about that?
Yeah, and I had some friends looking into it. They have not responded. Well, they haven't told me that they have been able to be successful, but I'm sure they didn't drop it. I don't expect that of them, but sometimes it takes a while to get stuff ferreted out and figure out who has this document and, where did it go from there. Sometimes stuff gets lost amongst all the other legislation they're dealing with.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you, Tech Tweets. I'm liking this. I'm getting a lot of information here. Thank you for being honest about it, Jason. I do appreciate that. And based on how you feel. Let's go to Logan. He's a co-host. I don't like my co-hosts raising their hands.
All right.
Go ahead, Logan.
Is Logan talking?
I'm talking. I'm muted.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. So, good to see you. I just want to notice that some people were kind of feel like going a little bit hard on you, and maybe it's just because I've been here the whole time, but yeah, I don't understand why you go hard on the guys. He doesn't have any evidence. We know this.
Yeah, I can't provide it. I'm sorry.
Logan, are you fucking serious right now? You know damn well why.
Can you explain it to me?
Yes, because, oh my God, this is not just an isolated thing. It's not just Jason Sands. Ufology has a history. It has a history of conmen and scam artists, and who have absolutely nothing to provide but a story and a trust me, bro. And they have deceived I don't know how big ufology is, maybe millions, maybe hundreds of thousands. There's a history and a pattern here that you guys never seem to learn from. He is just the latest example of that. Either he's a psyop, who knows, or no, let me finish, Jason, or he's doing it of his own accord. But they absolutely have nothing. And look at what it leads to. This isn't just like a funny little story that you could just choose to believe or not. This has real world fucking consequences. Do you know the number of people that I've worked with who have been traumatized because they've been raising cults? Because they believe people who make claims like these that are evidence free. This is not a harmless little exercise. And I am angry. I know you're not a part of the cult. You would be the cult leader in this situation, Jason.
No,
that's why I'm coming so.
I don't know. I don't think it's fair to call him a cult leader. And I mean, we can't tell the experiencers that they can't share their experience. I mean, what people choose to do with information is up to them. And I mean, yeah, there's a bad history, but you can't blame like the experiencers for sharing their story.
Yeah, but if you would, I would argue with that though, because you'd be using that same excuse if Corey Good was sitting here right now and he wasn't the big sham he is, though, right? You'd be defending him. Like I kind of don't like what you're going.
I would be defending Corey. Why? He's a liar.
Well, you know that now.
This is why ufology never goes anywhere. You never learn any historical
and
lessons
Logan, you
from the
thought
past.
Charles should be let
it repeats
to
over
talk.
and over and over again, and you could
like.
Let's go back to hands.
Like experience.
Let's go back to hands.
I don't get it.
We're gonna go back to hands. It's okay. It's okay. I don't want everyone turning on each other. Look. Any other time I'd be in here fucking going and saying, but Jason, I'll give him props.
Okay.
In here, and I always say, if the guy will come and talk, that's more than anyone else would do.
Well, you want evidence. I was going to offer something to the group if it matters anything to you. The closest I can get to, given the program name and everything else, is something I gave to some of the investigators, and that is that I have my personnel reports that state, for the years that I've always stated, that I was in a special access program. Okay, it's right there in my military records, and I will be willing to produce those and even highlight those bullet statements on my own personnel reports that says that is exactly what I did, was I was handpicked to be put in this program. The other thing is that it will show the date, time group of when I was there and in that program, and it'll also prove to you that I was at Nellis when this occurred. Is that partly some of the evidence other than having to produce a freaking UFO? Because I can't do that. Is that going to help?
We want the documents. We don't want the UFO. We want the docs. So that's good, Jason.
So would that help, though, is what I'm asking the group.
Yes, any and all documents would help.
I will.
Yeah, I don't see how that could hurt. Yeah.
Okay, I will pull them out of my military records box, and I will scan them in, and I will post them to my account tomorrow. How's that?
Because I want to be honest with you, Jason. Because while I don't know if you were MK Ultra or what's going on.
No,
here.
I'm not.
I mean, you just said earlier that it felt like a dream, so you weren't sure if these are dreams or not. That's what you just said.
Well, yeah.
So that sounds like MK Ultra to me.
Yeah. Okay.
But so it may be something similar. But I will say that if what you're saying is true, then I would like to know. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. There's a history, like Sky was saying, in ufology of people making these wild claims with no evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can provide more than those people ever have, and do that in a way that can show anything at all, then I'll accept it. I'll look at it.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
But you have to understand, Jason, you haven't been a part of this. I know you were killing aliens and shit for the government, but I come at this from a ufologist standpoint of allowing counterintelligence guys in here whenever this would never be allowed in the past, things like that. So there's a lot of distrust, and people always tell me, they're like, oh, let people do this and that. Well, like I keep bringing Corey Good up, but when people did that for Corey Good, he destroyed multiple people's lives, including 2 women that built the Light Warrior website for him. That he then used that against them.
Right.
So you have to understand where I'm coming from.
Him. Like, that's not on all the experiencers, Like,
yeah, but it's a history, right?
Here's my response.
You have to do your due diligence.
Is okay. Well, I get the idea of evidence and all this other good stuff, and I know I wish I had everything to just provide it to everybody and say, look, here you go, and open it up. However, would you also fairly say that, from my point of view, you guys also need to produce, some real evidence that maybe, we talked to you guys talked to one of my coworkers, and now that's why you want to badmouth me and call me on the carpet. But right now I'm not hearing that, I'm just hearing that you guys have your opinions about whether you think I'm talking wildly or lying, but we're both. Well,
let's get to some hands.
We're both talking
Thank
about
you, Jason.
evidence that doesn't exist. All right.
Go ahead, Terrestrial.
So now the evidence doesn't exist. Okay, go ahead, Terrestrial, and then we're gonna go to Bruce.
Jason, what was the method of execution, and why was that the chosen method over other methods?
Just that, just like when I was in the program, the tall whites were using the grays as worker bees and clean up people for their laboratory experiments and stuff. There is a aloofness to dirty work in, I think, their mentality, and if they can get a human to do it for them, and they know that the only other option, is that they kill me, they might just think, well, that's a better idea. Yeah, let's use them for that. That's the only supposition I could think of is why they would allow people to be used in that way. But here we are also that, if they are abducting people without consent, it seems like they don't really care what you think anyway. They're going to do what they damn well please to the human race. Or at least some of these other.
But what kind of weapon did you use to kill the aliens?
It was a rifle type thing. It was like a long rifle, but it shot kinetic something out of it. I don't even know how. All I know is that I could use it like a rifle.
Wait. So are you saying it was NHI weaponry or was it human weaponry?
It looked NHI to me. It was just simply there was a trigger on it. You didn't have to pull a bolt or anything on it. You just handed it and told to point it downrange like you do a rifle.
Did you shout for the Emperor as you killed the aliens?
Did I do what?
That's a 40K joke. You need to watch some Warhammer 40K. I'm surprised you haven't. You know what? I do need to fix something here. Future down there, Future. I guess because your name has an F in it, you got pushed below my screen. I couldn't see you. I'm so sorry, sweetie. I didn't mean to fucking ignore you. Go ahead.
Okay, some of my questions got answered. I just have a really quick bullet round of questions. I don't believe or disbelieve you. I have no emotion behind this. So you were so threatened that you killed aliens. How are you not threatened today? And you're able to come out with government secrets, and you were so fearful, and now you're just brave enough that you were willing to kill people, and now you just come out with all the deeds.
Because it was not even like that at all. I mean, it was obvious that there was just kind of like you go in, you kill the target, you come back, just like the special forces do with terrorists. That's kind of what it was. It felt like to me. It was that kind of mercenary work. So I don't feel the same threat. It's kind of like
for your life.
Well, it's kind of like the special forces people. They may be, some of them might end up getting paranoid by the trauma they've been through, and live their whole life in fear for their life, but still they retire from the army or wherever, and they go on about their lives. I'm not fearful for my life. I know I had to do some bad stuff. I retired. I tried my best to forget about it, try to live a normal life, and that was it. But now that, I feel like I'm on mission now to at least tell people there is a program, there's stuff going on in it, there are some concerns. Really, all I really wanted to talk to the Congress about was, look, there's some nefarious stuff that I've been hearing about the program. I don't want to talk about little green men, but can we talk about what you guys would be able to take action on? Here's what I think.
Okay. So we're good there. So you used to have your kids in life threatened. You no longer do. They stopped doing that. What color do they bleed? Do they bleed? What does it look like when you kill them?
I only remember one particular one where something oozed out. It was kind of like this creature that had like a carapace for skin. It was like a crab or a lobster kind of a thing, where once that was penetrated, some kind of yellowish green goo kind of came out.
Okay, and how many people are on your kill team?
There's anywhere between 4 to 6, depending on what we're doing.
And are you hunting them, or they're just delivered like a deer?
It was like they had already located them, and we were just put on site, like airlifted in and told, take out the targets, get back here to the extraction point, and then we get the hell out of there, and then they send somebody else in to finish cleaning up.
Okay, so if you're airlifted, is there any record of those flights?
I doubt it. It's all black ops, so no, I'd say no.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for the awesome questions, Future. Okay, let's go. Next up is Bruce, and then I think it's a little Pop Tart, then Somber again, then you have our main base, something like that.
Shane. And yeah, good space. A couple of points. One thing is that I can't see how anyone can establish that this isn't just dreams, and that's quite a charitable interpretation, that it isn't kinds of experiences that many experiencers report. They believe that they've gone here, there, and everywhere, and been in spaceships. And then you find in many of those cases, if a partner is in the room, they see them. And when that person wakes up, spaceship, and we now know that a lot of those cases are not physically objectively real. So that is one charitable explanation. But the thing that's more disappointing is that James Fox has allowed you, Jason, to go on there as an insider, not as an experiencer. I think if you'd said all this as, I've had this experience, I believe I've had these experiences, I have these memories of things that happen. But the problem is you are being sold to everyone as an insider from a human-run project with human technology, obvious evidence that could be presented. If it being presented that you were experiencing and were unsure of what actually the hell went on, I don't think you would have the kind of criticism you're getting. But you can't really establish to us that these aren't visionary experiences.
Yeah, honestly, I wish they were bad dreams, honestly, but they are very livid, very real, and
can't establish that to us any more than most people say they've had an alien abduction. So the problem is you can't establish that you're not just, say, an experiencer of some strange memories over being an insider in a project. And the problem is you've been sold and gone along with that narrative, and you've no way to substantiate it. I think you were unwise to have done that. If you had said, I've had strange experience,
I think from now on I'm just going to avoid the question. I'll just tell them, no, I don't want to talk about that, because it's just, you're right. I don't think people are ready for it. Maybe at some other point in time, if the program people actually come out, maybe
too late, Jason. You already said it all. It's already out in public.
No, I didn't. I think you guys are evidence that it's not out. That we're not to disclosure, but we'll see how it goes.
You can't say that I don't. So we can all do this, and that's the problem. That unless someone comes and says, well, look, I've got this evidence, at the very least, you've said go to Congress and everywhere else. Those people you should name, who it was at Congress you've talked to, who it is that's investigated your case, and start giving some sense that what you're saying, which should be objectively provable, is true. If you start getting names of people you've actually spoken to in government, that would start off to seem like, well, you believe enough to talk to so in government. So I think you should at least try to present some of that, because then at least people can say he believes what he's saying. But you can't even establish that at the moment.
Well, they are friends of mine. They do have their own lives. I can ask the committee members if it's okay for me to mention that they were the ones that helped to get me through that day when I went to go testify. I know that I asked them at one point if I could get at least the sign-in roster that showed that I was there in their skiff that day, but I've yet to get a response from them for that. So yeah, I could do that. I can actually do that, but I would want their permission first to use their name so that you guys could know. But it's the same people David Grush talked to. It's the same committees.
And so yeah, let's go to Little Pop-Tart and then UFO Mean Face.
Yeah.
Hey, so not much of a question, but I just I want to admit at first I was not, I was kind of skeptical, pretty skeptical of of his story because I hadn't heard you speak about it, Jason. But after hearing you speak about it, it made me realize too and think, which made me tend to believe that you might be telling the truth, and I do somewhat believe what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
Is that we do shoot down, even according to Dr. Greer, 2 to 3 craft per year, and 122 total is what Dr. Greer said. How many crafts, ET craft, have been shot down? So we know that these black, programs do kill ETs that way. And it's not insane to think that you would do an actual ET that's not in its craft.
Right. Yeah, that I don't. That's kind of a mystery to me. I know that there was a retrieval program, but I was not part of that. So how often it happens would be a guess on my part, and what they retrieved would be a guess on my part, and where exactly they went out to go retrieve it, I don't know. But those were all things that other people had on my team. Some of them were part of the retrieval team. I was not. So that would be something that maybe they could answer. But I all I know is that the retrieval program is there, and it's designed to be at a moment's notice. You get out there, and just like I had to do my dirty work. They have these craft that they just fly in and out wherever they got to go, and they recover these craft. But I think that's more of an acceptable idea for people to understand than having to deal with the mercenary or the threat part of it. To me, yeah, it's harder to talk about the threat part of this. I mean, if we see threats in our own world, there are threats off world too. I mean, if you agree that there are other life forms out there, they also have to police up their bad actors just like we do. And when they're here on Earth, I don't know why, but they do use some humans to do that. So it's the same thing. It's just, one of those things where if you think your way through it logically, it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, the evidence for it, how do you prove this happens? Well, you either take the people that are telling you word for it and look at their records, like you've done with me. You talk to me. You're okay about a lot of other things that I say, but yeah, I agree. This is one of the tough areas that I've ever had to deal with in the program. Um, Certainly didn't help any PTSD problems that I had from all the other crap I had to deal with in the military. But yeah, this is not an easy thing to swallow, and I agree. And I would even agree with you guys that if asked in another interview about this mercenary crap, I'm just not going to address it. But please,
Do you know your body count?
geez, it wasn't very many, maybe a handful.
Okay, like 6, 5, I guess. Okay.
All right, cool. You kind of jumped the line. Hey, Jason.
Sorry.
So I've got a couple of questions real quick. First of all, I think it takes a lot of balls to come into these spaces and answer this honestly. Your feet are definitely held to the fire, so it is commendable. The questions I have are, one, did you ever speak with Stephen Greer, and when was that?
Yeah, I've
Two,
spoken to him a few times. Yeah, he's got a pretty big
and was this
database.
okay? And who is your liaison or set up the congressional meeting for you in order to talk to somebody? And then three, real quick, sorry, you did mention at times that people were trying to control your story. You did mention Corbell and a bunch of others that were hitting you up when you came into spaces and the frustration, and you weren't able to go into detail about that. Can you go more into detail about it now that the documentary is out?
Yeah.
And you've come out as who you are?
Yeah, the first part of your question was that the task force was the one who introduced me to the Congressional committee members. They were the ones who initially interviewed me, looked up my clearance and all that good stuff. So I actually interviewed them over the phone while I was still working down in Pensacola, teaching cyberspace stuff. And that's when it all started back in 22. So in 22, then October, I get a call from a committee member asking me if I'll come. And I said, yes, that's what I feel like I have to do. And so he said, okay, we're going to do this pretty quickly here. So within about a month or so, I was flying back to Washington to go give them the testimony. And that's how it kind of worked. Now, what was the second question again? What was it you were saying?
It was earlier, people controlling your story.
Oh, the controlling my story. Yeah, that
yeah,
was
and like, who was that, and what was the purpose? Like, why were they so hands-on with what you wanted to say?
It wasn't so much that I had a problem with what they wanted me to do. Let me put it that way. It was the fact that the timing sucked, because if you recall, the way that I came out at the time, I was still trying to finish my last legal wicket to go public, which was my DOPSR or my pre-publication request as to what I could talk about publicly. So that had not been finished. However, on New Year's of 2023, that was something that I found very, I don't know, it changed the way I thought about how I'd have to go public, because James Fox had accidentally put the clapperboard behind his head that had my name on it, so everybody kind of already knew, and that aspect, and I still couldn't speak publicly because my DOPSR request wasn't to come until March. I think March is when they finally approved it. So I had to keep my mouth shut from January, February on. After that occurred, I mean, and James, I love the guy. I mean, he did what he was. I mean, I'm kind of glad he did that, honestly, because it did force me to come out a bit earlier. But it changed things about these plans that people had for me, because everybody has been doing this, interviewing people that come forward in the UAP community, and this is the way they do it. Corbell had his way has his own style. Leslie Kane has her style. Everybody has their own style, and they want to do it this, and this, and this is how it's done. So all of that kind of went to the wayside once my name was outed. And I felt a strong compunction to kind of correct some of the things that were going around, because I'm like, no, that's not quite right. That's not what actually happened. So I wanted to correct all of those things. And it was a very respectful space when I came out in March. I think that's March when I did that. And yeah, it was just a good space. I felt like I could contribute. I was very happy that week because I had gotten my DOPSR request finished and I knew what I could talk about. And I felt it was a good time to come forward. And that's how it all fell out.
Awesome, thank you. And if you just indulge me one more, I'm really sorry, guys. So you have mentioned that after you came out, you were receiving phone calls from people like Grush and company. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And was there a contact at the NGA that you were speaking to?
Well, I think Grush used to work at NGA.
Not Grush.
Yeah, I know a lot of people from NGA, honestly. But yeah, there were several people. I think a lot of Intel folks, too, that were on the UAP Task Force Forum were also NGA. And just literally the whole freaking slew of interagency people started contacting me. Yeah, and they'd been contacting me for like almost a whole year and a half beforehand, when I was just going through the Intel channels and talking to people there about this, that, the other. You got to understand that before I even got put forward by the UAP Task Force as a person that the Congress wanted to talk to, I was on the UAP Task Force Forum, and that's where the Intel community had a lot of questions for me, just like you guys did. And they are actually tougher about their questions than you guys are. They had some very scientific people that were asking me particularly this and that about the whole experience. So that's when it all really started, was when it was probably 2021, actually, when that whole journey started for me. But yeah, the whole thing, the vetting process, all of that ensued thereafter. So again, that's how things went for me chronologically. But
okay, great, thank you. I mean, I would like to know more about your relationship with Greer, but I feel like I'm hogging the platform, so I'll let other people ask questions. Thanks a lot for coming to Spaces, Jason.
Yeah, no problem.
I think they were really good questions. Let's go to Grider. Grider.
Can I pass, and then I'll go after the next guy? Thank you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Go to Somber and then to Tim, and then back to Grider.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of follow up on my previous question. In terms of like during the program, what were your applicable skills that would put you in the room with the aliens and all that kind of stuff, where you're seeing levers and all that?
Can you say that again? You kind of broke up a little bit on
What
my
were
end.
your applicable skills that got you into like a room full of guys with levers, like the alien lab or whatever?
I do have a martial arts background. One of the first things that they did with me when they were inviting me into the program was take me out to the gun range. If you look at my 214 that I provided already on X, you see that I also have a marksman ribbon, which means technically that puts you in the top end of people's accuracy with weapons. And for me, particularly with the rifle, the AR, that's what I was good at. So all of those things mattered to them very early on when they recruited me. And pretty soon after that, that's when they started asking about this recovery program and if I wanted to participate with them. So yeah, there's some concerns there about, can you, defend yourself in a fight, that kind of thing. Was definitely something they were looking at, I think, because they were looking at my weapons proficiency as well as a little bit of my martial arts background.
Thank you.
I got a question, a more general question for you, Jason. What do you think is going to happen with this Greer versus Elizondo battle we're kind of seeing?
Oh, geez. The one thing I've really been loath is about all the bad blood in the UAP community. It's kind of like, we all want the same thing, but we just have to fight about it and keep cutting each other up. And I feel that's kind of what Lou and Greer are going through right now. And I kind of get it because, Lou does things his way, Greer's doing it his way. And I think between the two of them, they just don't see eye to eye well enough on everything. And I think recently there's been some issues that came across both of them that caused this riff, is that they just didn't see eye to eye on it already, and now the issue is in front of them. They can't avoid it anymore, and it's led to some problems. And I think it's not just them, it's probably some other people in the UAP community. I've seen it this past year as well, where they've had a bit of a rift. But I think it's mainly just due to professional opinions, because Greer has his take on things, and Lou definitely has his. And I've seen that, and I don't know what to do. It's up to them whether they want to reconcile and get on with things.
What side are you on, Jason?
Me, I like them both. I don't agree wholeheartedly with either of them, 100%, but I do agree with a lot with both of them. Like Lou, he's my hero. He's the one who came forward. He's the one who stepped up first, at least, that I consider. And then Greer, on the other hand, he was there a long. He's been studying this for so many years. But I also see how they've gotten bagged on for different things. Greer for asking for money to have people come out to his ranch or whatever, and Lou getting bagged on about his involvement with OSAP and ATIP and all this stuff, and what really happened.
Yeah, about how he lied and made up a fake program.
Well, see, I
and
don't
he was
even
director
know.
of a UFO
He's
investigation
actually
program.
shown me documentation where he was actually hired by both, but
he should probably show everybody else that though, Jason, right? Because he's been pretty much called out for not doing that. That's a pretty big problem. I do have a question from the audience. And then this is going to be kind of a personal question, Jason. Probably less personal than you telling us that you flew in a helicopter in front of alien in a cave or something. But
yeah, please don't go there again. We don't need that anymore.
No, if you don't mind, were you paid to be in James Fox's documentary?
No, did it totally for free.
Really?
Yep. Totally for free.
Okay. And is there anything that's happening in the community where you're getting money from the community based on the claims you're making?
I've only asked for help from my friends and my family because it's been hard to put the bills together. But thankfully, thank God he's gotten me through this far, so I'm okay. But
I understand that, man. I'm in between jobs myself right now.
But
which is why you can go to buymeacoffee.com/UFO Shane and the Nest guys.
Yeah, I've had other people, though. I'll be honest that other people are wanting to set up a fund for people like myself and David Grush and other people that have suffered reprisals, because there is no way to get a lawyer for free unless a lawyer honestly is that involved, which we do thankfully have some of those types, but they're very task saturated. A lot of people are asking them for stuff.
Well, hold on. What documents did Elizondo show you that proved to you that he was director of ATIP?
I would want to talk to him first if I ever divulged those, but they were official documents and they had his name on it.
Government documents?
Yeah, they had letterhead that looked very governmental. Yes.
Governmental, like Harry Reid governmental, or actual governmental?
Again, let me talk to them about it first before I go telling you.
Because I think you're talking about the Harry Reid letter, because that's public, and he was retired many years afterwards.
Also, to add to what Arthur's saying, Lou Elizondo is known for pulling out his phone or doing these things and trying to show these people to give him more. He's known for doing this. There's tons of people who have met him that he's done this to. So you might be falling victim to that, Jason. To be honest, I don't trust Lou Elizondo as far as I can see him, man. That's because he lied. I don't like liars, Jason. Yeah. We know this, though.
And he's connected the deep state with Chris Mellon, who said Trump was like a threat to democracy. And, he's been with Jacques Vallée and, Kit Green. We know this whole crew, and we know they're dirty, Jason, and you should know that, too.
Well, I know that I've had to watch myself around certain individuals. Lou's not one of them. I mean, like I said, I know the parts of him and I that we agree to and the other parts we don't agree to. And usually that's what friendship's based on. I mean, I've never had a friend that I agreed wholeheartedly with, but there are some people that I know are out to get me and get him, and that's all they think about, or it seems to be like that's all they think about. But that's why I'm glad you guys are actually letting me talk about this in a respectful manner now. I mean, it started off a bit rough, but we've got to a better spot now. But that doesn't happen for everybody, and I don't know. I think that's something that even, amongst all the UAP people that are, famous, that they've had to deal with that backlash. And some of them respond okay to it. I like to think that I'm absorbing it well. I mean, yeah, I didn't have to engage in this today with you guys, but I did. I chose to, because I'm like, no, they deserve to have some answers, at least what I can tell them.
I do appreciate that.
But not everybody that I know that are, leaders in the UAP community can do that. Some of them have literally turned off social media, and they refuse many, many times never to ever do a podcast. They will only go to like a mainstream, like CNN.
They're cowards, Jason. They're cowards.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
That's
it's just
true.
they have their likes and dislikes. Just like I can't make you.
They think they're better than us. They're in the invisible college. They talk amongst themselves, the civilized people, and they won't come and mix with it.
Don't you worry, author. You see, if you look down at the bottom, we got 90 anonymous listeners. Hi, Jeremy Corbell. Like, hello, everyone. I know you're here.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
I know what y'all do.
It's just one of those things
anyways,
where, everybody's got their things that they're able to do and things you can't do. It's just like, I can't make you go to church if you don't want to be there. It's the same thing.
Thank God. By the way, Chris Mellon, I would not accuse him of being deep state just because he thinks Trump is a threat to democracy.
No. Definitely deep state.
So many people think
He's
that.
about as deep state as you can get.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, for most of the people that I've dealt with, and including my own experience, is that as you learn in your experiences of life, let's say, you do become biased to certain things that you allow and don't allow, whereas a similar person could be side by side with me with a very parallel career and be confronted with the same things, and they will think totally different about it and be more acceptable to doing certain things. And I think that's really what we're looking at here, is that you're seeing the different personality types is really all it is.
Go ahead, Grider.
Hey, Jason, I was looking at your DD-214. When you went to, was that JPOC that you went to?
Yeah.
In 2002 in November?
Yeah.
Was that in Florida, right? Was that like it's like the 1 week course down there in Florida?
Yeah, that's right. It's on Hurlburt Field. Yeah. I went there because that's when I was in Hawaii. That's when I actually got my U identifier to become a joint planner, and I was working in Hawaii. And this was outside the program. I was years away from the program by then. But yeah, I was doing planning at the time.
So are you saying? Okay, and then it looks like you went and you did like some Asian Pacific. You did some stuff in the Asian Pacific theater.
Yeah, the APOC. Yeah,
or you at least had a course on it.
Yeah, because
what was that like?
It wasn't as in depth as I thought it would be, but it was more like the cultures. It kind of gives you a general overview and that kind of thing. I actually learned more just from reading intelligence reports when I got back in garrison. But yeah, those were the two just requisite courses after you go through the information operations and integration course, which is the one I graduated from. And they also sent me to JPOC and APOC because I was in Hawaii. That's the area of the world I was to be planning and being concerned about with all the threats.
Okay, and then when did you go into the program? Was it? I mean, it was sometime after that, and you retired in 2007, correct?
Yeah. So when I was in the program, that was like 1990 to 1990. No, 1991 to 1994. And I got married the first year I was in the program. Then I was kicked out of the program in 1994, and I continued at Nellis for another couple of years till 1996. Then I went to RAF Mildenhall for my next duty station. I was there for 6 years, and I was just an intel guy at that point. That's where I learned how to program and all that good stuff, or continued to learn how to program. And then
so what was your rank when they recruited you? Like
I was a staff sergeant.
It looks like okay, so you were an E6 in 1990.
E5.
When did you go into the service? Okay, so you were an E5.
I went into the service in 85, delayed enlistment. So September of 85 is the date that they did the pay date, but I actually didn't go to boot camp.
Nice, man. So you made rank pretty fast.
Yeah. So I went through. Well, I actually was in boot camp January of '86. That's when I actually entered active duty. But under the delayed enlistment program back then, that was what I got paid a little bit ahead of time. But yeah, I did go up rank pretty quick. They had their eyes on me for senior master sergeant and chief master sergeant, but things got too political. I just wanted to get out of the military.
I hear you. Yeah, man, the politics in the military get bad when you get up there in rank.
Yeah.
Can you describe, like, what was your day like? Can you just run us through like a typical day when you're in the program? Yeah, and I assume that you were so you were in E5. Like, what was your day like? Like, what I mean, from like, did you guys do PT in the morning, or was it just like you kind of showed up at 9? Like,
no, this
like,
was
what was your typical day like in the program?
No, in the '90s, that was when in the Air Force, at least, that we didn't have like a daily routine for PT. We did do our run every year. You had to run your 1.5 miles every year. So yeah, if you didn't do any jogging throughout the year, you you practically die. But you had to do so many push-ups, sit-ups, run for 1.5 miles, and all that stuff. So anyway, the routine. I'll give you a day like that starts off normal and then ends up being part of the program. So my normal day would have been, if I was doing the aircrew training up range on the Nellis Test Range, I would be driving up for at least 2.5 hours to get all the way up range, get checked into the hotel over the weekend. And then that Monday, we would be driving all down the dirt roads onto the test range to go do our work up at Black Mountain. Then you come back and you do that for 2 weeks. And then you go back to home station and you begin your work. Now, if I'm doing the telephone monitoring stuff, I would be sent anywhere in the continental United States. I could go to Minot Air Force Base. I could go to Washington, D.C. I could go to Texas. I could go to wherever. And I would conduct telecommunications monitoring assessments, and I would debrief people that were at those installations and the staff that the commanders wanted to hear our report. And we would also finish up our reports after 90 days and give them a final report. And that was exactly the same.
That's like a jack of all trades position. I mean, that's wow. So that was all that was the same MOS, like the same job.
Yes, at that time,
that was like the exact. I mean,
yeah,
really.
But in 1995, though, my commander decided that doing with the flag exercises on Nellis Test Range was no longer a viable thing, and he thought he could save about $4 million by abolishing it out of our career field, and that's exactly what he did. So after 1996,
cool.
it was no longer a mission for my career field, but they still do have people that do help train up there. Anyway, so then the transition to doing the program work would be exactly the monitoring mission. So say I went home after a normal monitoring mission, I'm back at home station. It's a Friday night. I get a call from the team leader, and he would say, "Have your bags packed. We're going to be there at 6 o'clock to pick you up from the barracks." And I'll be like, "Okay."
What was his rank?
He was.
Was it like a E7, E8?
He was, yeah. I think he was a tech sergeant. Yeah, we were all about the same rank. We all kind of made about E5, E6 about the same time. We were E4, E5. That's who we were. The four analysts, me and the three other guys. That's what rank we were. We were right around that E5 enlisted corps team, and we were handled by majors and lieutenant colonels and above. But anyway, so I'd get a call. Okay. Let's say I got home on a Friday. I'd get a call. Have your bags packed. We're going to come pick you up at 6 a.m. We're going to go to McCarran Airport, and we'll tell you where we're going when we get there. So that's how we would roll. And then you do your 2-week mission monitoring the telephones of these clandestine program locations, like at Wright-Patterson, White Sands, you name it, Eglin Air Force Base. There's all these different locations we went to all over the place. And we would.
And then they would like, where would the assassination, like, where would the the kill team, like, where did that fit in? Was that around the same time? I'm just trying to get.
I never was on the kill.
Yeah, like,
I was never on
the picture of the timeline.
I never did the dirty work until they excommunicated me from the program. It was
okay.
In other words,
okay, so that was like the kind of like.
I think what happened.
That was punishment.
Yes, it was a punishment because that was the deal my friends made who were analysts just like me, they were the ones, they told me literally with a very serious look on their face, stay in the truck. That's exactly what they told me. And they said, give me your badge. And they went in and they were there for, good grief, over an hour. They came back out and they were pale as ghosts. And they just said, yeah, man, that wasn't fun. I said, why? And they said, they really wanted to kill you. And I'm like, yeah, I bet they did. And I was laughing about it. And they were like, no,
Man, that's
no,
horrible. That's horrible. That's
we mean they physically wanted to kill you, Jason. You don't understand. And I was like, holy shit, I really fucked up. So anyway,
that's horrible, man.
yeah, and then the next week they showed up and said, we got one more thing we have to do with you. And that's when they took me to this S2 location on the Nellis test range. And that's when the bad shit started.
Can you tell me, okay, so just the last question, and then like, thank you for answering my questions. The last question is, so like, I'm very curious about you said that it was an alien, it was an extraterrestrial weapon that, you know, I don't know if you described it as a gun, but it was a weapon that you had to execute the aliens with. Can you just like, had you trained on that weapon before? Did you guys go to the range with,
it was
like,
very
were
much,
you,
it was exactly
did you have like any type of training?
No, it didn't require any of that because it had a trigger mechanism and it looked like a rifle for the most part, but it didn't shoot bullets.
Were you issued this weapon?
Huh?
Like, were you issued this weapon?
They would
was
give it
this
to
your
me,
issue weapon?
yes. On route to our ingress point, they would issue our weapons to us. Yes.
What type of ammunition did it take? Did it take a
It
cartridge?
was some
Did it
kind
take
of
a mag?
kinetic
Like,
thing. To me, it was kinetic. It had to be kinetic of some kind. It had a magazine.
what was the recoil like on that? Like, was it?
There was zero recoil,
Was there any
honestly, to
kick?
tell you the truth.
Zero?
I did
Wow.
not feel a recoil at all when I was using it.
And
But man,
you say that you do
whatever
not
it hit, it
remember
destroyed.
how many.
Whatever it hit. Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, wow. You say that you do not recall the number of. I know this. I mean, this is a sensitive thing to ask, man, and I really hate to ask it. I really don't want to ask, but for clarification, you said that you do not remember the exact number of living aliens that you were forced to exterminate.
Right.
You don't recall the exact number?
Let me think. Well, I could if I just. Yeah, there's one.
Yeah, I mean, because
two,
it's something you don't really.
3, at least 3 that I know of. There were never a lot. It wasn't like hordes of these things, but when I remember when I was in their presence, it was like you could feel the hatred.
Yeah, man,
at a
that's
certain
horrible.
distance. It was like telepathically, these beings' attitude was just pure hatred. You know, when it's like walking into the room and the party poopers there. That's what it felt like. You know, you get that ominous feeling
Party
like,
poop.
oh
Yeah.
shit. You know.
Well, yeah,
I
you're
hear
you're
you.
about to kill them, aren't you?
Well,
I imagine they're too happy.
thank you for your service. And yeah, I'll go on and drop down. Yeah, take care.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, why is it that you can't remember how many exactly? I feel like I would remember that. You know what I mean?
Said
Well,
3.
I think I do remember 3 of them. 2 in one location in a cavern, and another one in a cell, a prisoner cell, that they literally were telling me to kill. But I refused to do so. So somebody else put a bullet in their head. So I saw that guy die, or that NHI die, and so there's 3 total that I remember seeing dead.
Oh, okay, all right. Some somber. Or you know what? Forget that. Tim Taylor, or I mean Tim T. You gotta go ahead.
All right. Hey, so did you do that drawing in James Fox's documentary? That was your drawing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he asked me for it,
you
and
have
I
some good
provided it.
values, and it looks like you're a pretty decent drawer. But I was curious, would you be willing to do some drawings of that gun that you're talking about that you had used, that rifle type gun? And then would you be willing to do drawings of the aliens that you had to kill?
Yeah, I think I've already. Well, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, there's
I wanna
already
see what
existing
Crab
artwork
Lobster
that
wants to
shows
do.
the type of aliens that I encountered. But the rifle, I'd have to hand draw that. Yeah.
So
real
that
quick,
one.
let me-
Hold on, sorry,
go
just
ahead,
one
Tim,
quick thing.
No, go ahead, Tim. You go ahead. Tim, you go ahead.
So that one alien hybrid, you referred to it as, you thought it might be a hybrid, right? The one that you saw in the desert that flew away in that craft?
Correct.
You're
Yeah.
saying
At least
that is the same type of alien or hybrid creature that you've had to kill 3 times?
no, absolutely not.
Oh,
They're all
okay.
different.
So would you be able to draw sketches of those? Do you have those?
Yeah, I can do that with the ones in the cavern mostly. The one that was in the prison cell, it was kind of dark. I'd have a rougher time, but it would, typically to me it looked like a gray alien that I've seen pictures of many times. Very, very much like a gray alien with the big almond-shaped eyes and small head, slender body, which was very unlike the guy I met in the desert, who looked like a normal human for the most part, other than his ears and eyes, and he was hairless, and he had that bluish tint to his skin. But he was more like an albino with some bluish tint. So I really want to try to correct that, because a lot of people are saying blue, and really what I mean to say is it's a blue tint like we get when you've got you're really cold. So he looked like he had albino. He was like an albino skinned, very light colored white person is really what it equates to, with a blue undertone. So he's not like navy blue, shockingly blue kind of skin. No, he looked
So
more
he didn't
like
look like a Smurf or nothing. He wasn't like
no,
Smurf.
not at all. He looked more like a human tone of a very light color with blue undertone. Like,
This is fascinating. Jason, once again, I gotta give you props coming in here, man, and thank you for staying around as long as you have. I hope you stay longer. I'm just gonna sit back, kind of moderate this, and we're gonna get back to the hands. Who was next, guys?
Somber.
Yep, Somber. Okay, Somber, you go ahead, and then we'll do Mellow Demon, Average Chris, Quest Spectre, and yeah.
So before this, in like your career and everything, have you ever killed a man before or anything?
No, I've had to pull my
I didn't
weapon
think
out
so.
twice, and was ready to drop somebody, but they were the ones instigating. It was mainly to break up things, because I did security before I got into the Air Force. Again, because they were the ones who kind of helped provide some of the martial arts and weapons training early on in my life.
You don't
So
remember their eyes or anything. You shot a bunch. You killed some things, but you don't remember their faces or any of that kind of
oh,
stuff.
you're talking about the faces of the
Yeah, I mean,
aliens? Yeah.
because
Oh, I remember
usually
those
it would make it
vividly.
easy to number it, because you're not going to forget something like that normally. Like,
No, I don't.
unless you're like a
I
sociopath or
don't
something
forget
crazy.
any of that. I can
Yeah.
actually picture it to this day. It was traumatic. I literally remember how cold it was outside the cavern. Uh, I remember the feeling I got walking within about 50 yards from these entities as we came into the cavern and discovered them in this open space. I remember all that. But yeah, I'll try to find some
That's where it just
accurate.
gets hard. That in the marksman thing, you're like, I'm a marksman, but you didn't know how many bullets were in your gun, and you don't remember, a few things with
No,
your
I didn't
weapon.
feel
Like you
like the
didn't even get
rifle.
familiar with it. You don't know where it came from. That's
Well,
kind of
no, it
strange.
wasn't like an AR-15. It was definitely something that was a totally different kind of a weapon, but it did have a very rifle type feel to it,
Thank
and
you.
a trigger, and that's about all there was to it. There was not much to explain. It's kind of like if you totally oversimplified an AR-15, that's what it was. If all you had to do was pick it up and pull the trigger, that's what it was, and know how to point it downrange. That's it. That's all the
Okay,
skill
we've
you
got some
needed.
more questions here. So go ahead, Average Chris.
All right, so I just got in here a little bit ago. So I get a couple questions. One, we're talking about, you said a guy with bluish tint. Is it possible you just ran across somebody, if this is true, that had hypothermia or something going on?
That's what I thought it was at first. Yeah, exactly. That's what ran through my mind, because as we were approaching him, I was like, crap, this guy's got hypothermia, and I need to get out there and help him before he's in big trouble here, because he could be dying. And I even said that verbally to the driver of the vehicle. I said, yeah, we got to pull over and help this guy. He looks like he's suffering from hypothermia. And that's exactly what I thought at first. And then when I stood up and looked right at him, I'm like, holy crap, he's got no ears. Look at the size of those eyes. What the fuck is this? I was like, what the hell did I just run into? With what hit my mind after that.
Okay, all right. Another question I have is, so going over your background, you might have went over this already. I'm not sure. Were you in aircraft structural maintenance first, and then over into signals?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah, that's
So
why that's in my my 214, yeah. Because
Right,
the first
right.
job I had was fixing airplanes.
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that, and I don't. I'm not discrediting your 214 at all. So,
Hmm.
but as far as signals intelligence,
Hmm.
there's I'm really confused on how you could go from aircraft maintenance to signals intelligence to an alien assassin. I don't understand. Like, so
Well, yeah.
there would
Well, here
just
you
have to
go.
be.
This
Did
is how
you
I ended up.
qualify? And like, did you qualify? Obviously in basic training you have to do, weapons qualifications.
Yeah.
Like, what was? How did they approach you with killing aliens? Like, how did that all come about?
Well, like I was saying, this was kind of a punishment for me because they were going to do worse to me than make me do this mercenary work. Um, but it was because I had fucked up and broke the rules and brought my wife and kids on a mission to go to the zoo over the weekend, and they looked on that as if it was the biggest fuck up in the world. And I just thought, well, if I can't have a wife and kids, I definitely don't care if you kick me out or not, and I thought that's all it was. But they came out of turning in my badge, and they looked like really grave, like they had just suffered a really heavy butt chewing or something. And that's when I found out that they were actually going to kill me that day and bury my ass in the desert, probably. But my friends had convinced them, is there any other way? And I think that's what they did. Is my friends saved my life that day by making me do this mercenary work and giving me a fighting chance to survive out of it. Um, so it was kind of a kindness on their part, but it still sucked really bad.
So why wouldn't they, as a punishment, just do like they do normally in any other intelligence field, especially in the military, and just do something, as far as like, your
Mhm.
clearance and restricting it or even revoking it, taking you out of the job? Why would they? I'm kind of confused
Well,
how there's such a jump
they
from.
knew I had a wife and kids. I had 2 children at the time. When all that happened. And I think they just had compassion on some of that. And that's why they didn't do anything else. They just wanted me to do the dirty work and then move on. And I did for a number of years. I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say nothing. I literally didn't even say anything after I retired for a very long time, until, I started seeing the UAP Task Force Forum. And I was like, oh, I think I can help with this. And that's when I started talking about it and trying to help the community, and that's where I am now. So that's kind of how the progression was. Now, for the progression between being an airframe mechanic to an intel person, it was just an overmanning issue in the airframe uh, career field at the time. Whenever there's an overage and there's too many people in a career field, that they have like X hundred more people than they need to actually fix the aircraft, because the inventory changes, and the next thing you know, you're not fixing as many C-130s as you did the year before. That's kind of what happened to me, and that then you have to go talk to the career counselor, take some tests, and figure out what you qualify for. And I qualified for intelligence, and I had 3 jobs to choose from, and I chose the intelligence one, and that's how I cross-trained out. Went to Germany for the first tour as an intel guy or electronic systems security analyst. And then I went to Nellis right after that. But in Germany, yeah, I used to hang out with some really rough and tough guys as well. And that might have caught wind with some of the people as well, that, I did have my martial arts background. And they were kind of grooming me, or not grooming me, but actually watching me, I think, for a good while before they invited me into the program. I think the one thing that precipitated it was, for some reason, I've got this really strange memory for questions and answers, because at the end of the course evaluations for learning your job, uh, there's there was these what they call volume review exercises that could be about 150 to 300 questions long, and I can read through them for some reason and just once close the book, hand the book to somebody else, and I can answer them to 97% accuracy. And I did that in front of them one day, and I think they were like, "Oh, He's got a good memory too. Yeah, let's get him on the program. And then the other part of it was just getting to know me as a person, because I didn't know it at the time. But one of the guys, actually, I drove up range with him, like I was saying in the interview, we went up range. We started talking about Dreamland, and the next thing I knew, this guy was, actually part of the program, and he's part of the team that's asking me to be part of the program. But he really liked me a lot, and I liked him. We got along great. So I think that was another part of the initiation, was whether I got along with them, which I still do. I mean, I really appreciate them. They're very good people. They were just as shocked as I was about some of the stuff we intercepted.
So what you're saying is people in the signals intelligence field are somehow also can carry weapons and do like missions like you're claiming?
When I first got into the career field, we wore a combat crew badge because we could be deployed to the FACP, the front lines, where they have radars. They have to vector in the pilots to their targets. We could actually be forward deployed with those folks. Then that part of the mission changed.
Right, but you're not being when you're stateside, you're not carrying a weapon.
No, only when you deploy. Usually in the Air Force, you don't walk around with weapons unless you're working the front gate of an installation or something, or you're deploying or on mission, or a courier. Those are the only conditions where in the Air Force you get to carry a gun all the time, is when you're performing one of those jobs. So I was never, even in the program, I wasn't issued a gun until after I was put on the mercenary crew to do all the dirty work. That was the only time I got issued a weapon for the program. The only other time I handled a gun was when they made me go to the gun range and show them what I could do.
So my last thing here is I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm an Air Force veteran, and there's other people in here that are veterans as well. I've been in the circles that you're talking about, and Jason, I'm just going to be completely blunt and honest. There's a lot of stuff that you're telling people that's not true, and I know.
Well, what did I say that's not true?
As a matter of fact, so signals intelligence, like your career field, the things that you're stating is not true. It's not true. It is completely
like
not
what
true.
Part of my job did
You gotta be specific.
So you guys aren't going out in the field and doing missions where you're carrying weapons and doing assassinations. That is nothing that you guys do. And it's not.
In a black program,
no,
you
it's
are,
not.
though. That's the whole thing.
You can't, you're talking about this program, then that means that it's not a real program, because signing an NDA, that if you're part of a program, you sign an NDA, you can't talk about it or acknowledge it. So
He already went through the DOSPR process, though, so he can talk about it.
Yes, and that's the reason why.
No, because they look for accuracy on things, right? So what I'm saying is I know for a fact, and maybe it'll come out in the future, because I really do think that it's, as an Air Force veteran myself, you're doing us a disservice by saying things like this that's not true, and it frustrates me to
Well,
no
I
end,
agree that
because
the program didn't run things like the proper Air Force. So in the proper Air Force, I would go out and do the things that you're talking about, where I'd qualify with my AR, and we'd go to the range, and you have to go through there and you clean your gun afterwards, and you give it back to the armory, and you don't see that gun ever again unless you go deploy, and you get a totally different gun anyways. So that I'm very familiar with all those things. That's kind of how it goes for a normal career Air Force person. However, there are programs that work with the Special Forces. There are, like another guy that was in my career field, he worked with the JSOC folks. He was required to carry a gun, and he would come in while we were monitoring for JSOC, and he was leading the team, and I would be part of the team, and he would have a sidearm. However, I was not allowed to have a sidearm, but he did. But he was one of the guys in my career field that was allowed to do that. And so that was in a Black World program that did that. And that's kind of how it rolls. And you've got all these little niche things that people don't get exposed to, that I think a lot of people like yourself, where you've just been doing, regular Air Force stuff. Yeah, SIGINT is different. I mean, the SIGINT stuff that was real for me, and is right up what you would agree that is proper, is that, yeah, you go out and you collect signals intelligence, which is what I did. Electronic system security is a career field. 1N6 is what it is now, or something like that, or 1N6, 1N0 have joined into one career field now. I started off in a career field, 209X1, I think it was the first career field identifier. You can look this up. And then after a while, they switched out of that, and we had to get a 1N. 1N6 was the next one. So it went 209X1 to 1N6X whatever as the career field. And then when I became a master sergeant or tech sergeant, they were talking about combining the career fields. And that was still ongoing in 2007 when I exited the Air Force. So they're trying to combine the 1N6 career field with, I believe, the 1N0s because it was the best fit at the time. So that's kind of how it rolled out.
Yeah,
But
so
there was only 200 people in my career field when I was a 209 because, you've got to go through certain training. You're listening to friendly communications. So you have to be trained not only on collecting signals intelligence, you also have to be trained on Privacy Act and several other things about the different types of, data phones, how to hook those up to the TAP device that we have, how to get that all set up for the missions. And
We
that's
gotta
kind of
get
what
back
we
to
do.
hands though. Thank you, Average. You can come back.
Well, hold on. One more thing. So there's a discrepancy there, and I got to point that out. So when JSOC guys, especially Special Forces, especially JSOC, intelligence guys do not go on the actual
Mm-hmm.
missions. They work from a distance supporting
That's
a
right.
mission. So that's another. Well, then you just
No, I
contradict
didn't, because
yourself
they use telephones.
because you're not going out.
No, the guy that
Yeah, but you're not going
no,
out there.
you weren't
Okay,
there. Let
so
me talk to you.
special
Hang on.
forces would be the
No,
guys.
stop.
All right, you're saying
That
you're
is not
killing
an
aliens.
inaccuracy.
You're
You don't
killing
know what you're talking
aliens.
about. Let me tell you. No,
Yes,
you
I
don't.
do.
Did you
I
tap
really
phones?
He
do
kind of
know what I'm
does know what
talking
he's
about.
talking about. So
Yeah, I actually do. Yeah, I actually do
Okay,
know what I'm
look, no,
talking
you
about.
don't. Were
even
you a
Special
respectfully,
1N6?
you're not
forces. Yeah,
making any sense.
Were you a 1N6? Did
yeah,
you
you're not
monitor
making any
telephones?
sense. Well, it's 1 in 4 now, so
Okay,
you
good.
got that
So
wrong. It's
when you
1 in 4
monitor
now.
telephones, JSOC does that for their team. Okay, they have a liaison, 1N4, 1N6, 209, career field guy that knows how to tap phones, listen, or pick up on emails. They are there to protect.
Yeah, but
They
you're
are
not
there
going
to
out.
protect.
You're not
Look,
going
dude,
out on the actual
I
mission.
went to Fairford on one of these missions
Where?
for that, and they actually had me there with 4 or 5 other people that are also 1N6s, 1N4s, and the lead guy was a 1N6, 1N4 himself, and he's stationed with JSOC. He would be there with them in Carolina for all the time. He literally deployed with them every time. But when he went into a different theater, like when I was in the RAF Mildenhall, they called me up and said, "Hey, we need some bodies to do the monitoring for us, and we're going down to this base. Can you supply the support?" And I was part of that team. We went down there and we did it. And all we were there for was to listen to the phones and make sure that everything was hush hush, and that the JSOC team that was going to be going in hadn't had any erroneous phone calls or anything else going out that would tell or tip off any of the people they were going after. They're very tight about that. So that's all I was there for. I wasn't I wasn't doing like intel stuff like, oh, I got to produce a report. Oh, I need to get a.
What year was that?
What year was that?
When you worked for JSOC?
You're skipping, Grider. We got hands.
I
No,
didn't
it's
work
I'll
for
yield
important
my hand.
JSOC.
questions.
I was
These are important
deployed
questions.
with JSOC people. So there's a difference there. It's
Do you know
different.
when?
Yeah, that was let me see, 1998 time frame. Yeah, 1998, I believe.
Go ahead, UFO Sarah.
Thanks. This is a great space. Jason, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to be in a space with you. I wanted to, a couple of months ago, you had commented an ominous post that stated there's a war for this world, and I was curious if since the documentary has been released, are you able to go into that, and give us any more detail on the war that is happening? Thank you.
Well, yeah, well, it might be a little sore spot for some folks because we're already talking about strange stuff that's hard for them to swallow. But yeah, again, you're asking me a question. You're expecting an honest answer, and I'll give you one as best I can. But that is, yes, there are other races out there. We're not the only intelligence. And yeah, not all of them are friendly towards us. And that's what I mean by that war being on for this world, is that just like it is here in our own on our own planet, we're kind of in a competition when it comes to landmass resources, right? It's all about food, sustaining your population, sustaining your survivability as a nation. The same thing happens if we even become, an interplanetary race. At some point, hundreds of years from now, that other planet might learn that they want to uh, do something bad to us. Maybe they start to disagree with us and think that they want to do bad things. So that's kind of what's going on with the war, is that there's these resources are finite. Whatever our Earth came into being with, the iron, the minerals, the diverse life, and everything else, is probably a jewel amongst many other planets. I mean, the ones we find observable, a lot of them are dust lit, like Mars, or a gaseous planet, and we can't imagine anything living there. So to have a world where there's a diverse bunch of life and everything else, it's like a gem. So there's competition for that. There's real
Okay, so
competition for that.
to follow up with that, the incident in, I think you said it was a cave. I forget the word you used for it, where you had to take out two NHIs.
Yeah.
Which
A cavern.
Cavern. Thank you. It began
Cavern,
with a
yeah.
C.
Yep.
A cavern. Was this part of? Were you in the war for this world? Is that what you would consider? Like, is it
It could have
ongoing?
been. It wasn't like they were telling me everything. It's not like they revealed the entire plan or anything like that. I was just literally given a mission brief and an ingress point and an egress point. That's it. I was
Can you
just
go
told.
into any details on the brief, that the mission? Can you break down the mission brief?
Yeah, they would say there's a cave, X yards this way, like 300 yards south from here. You're going to enter that cave, have your weapons at the ready, and you're going to take out these beings that are there, and see you at the end of this. That's kind of how it went. That was kind of all the intel they had on these beings. They just knew the location pretty much. They didn't even sometimes. I don't think they even knew what they looked like, because we never really got a description of what these beings were like. We would just, show up and poof, here you are confronting something awful. And that's kind of how it was. So
And so, when you were there, what were you? Why? I mean, other than when the moment that you got near them, you felt as though they were the energy from them was a murderous energy,
yeah,
and they had to be taken out. What were they doing in this cavern? Were they hiding, living? Is it like what?
they were
What's the
hiding mainly, and it was nighttime at the time. It was dark, as far as I knew. It was very cold, so it must have been wintertime or something. But anyway, I didn't find out what they were doing until we done cleared out the first cavern, and then I looked down this cat cave, and I could see there was another cavern, and I could see humans in there. And one of these beings had escaped from the first cavern, and the team was trying to take him out before he got to the humans, but he was going after those humans to take him out because he was that malicious, and he was going to kill as many of these other humans before we took him out. That was the idea, I think, that individual or that entity had in his mind. And then this is the hard part, but they had kids in there too, and he killed some of them. I mean, literally tore them in half. But
Thank you, Jason. I'm sorry. I was just curious, and I really appreciate you. I'm
I'm
sorry
sorry. I
that.
just keep seeing that kid's face in his
Okay.
eyes as he was dying. I just can't. It was hard for me because I had kids of my own, and I just thought this is not something that should be going on at all. Um, Sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to lose it like that.
Wait a minute. Who killed the kid?
The alien did. One of the aliens, because there were a couple of them in the first cavern. One of them got away and started to kill some of the humans in this other cavern that was adjacent to the first.
Do you know where this cavern is, or like where it may have been? What state? What was it near a military
The
base? Was it in
trees.
the mountains?
I remember there being, like I said, very very cold. The trees, to me, it felt like it was kind of like I don't know how to put it. I can't really. I think it was like a jungle or something. I don't know. It could have been. No, it couldn't have been a jungle because it was wintertime there. It was just cold. No, all I remember is that cavern entrance. I got out of the helicopter, and that was it. I just jumped out with the rest of the guys, and we just started running towards the cavern entrance. And
Wait a minute. So you don't know like what state? Do you know what country you were
no,
in?
they never told us that. They literally would wake us up en route to wherever we were going. That was the way it was.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate. All right, so we got you killed 3
Yeah,
aliens, one like 2 in one place,
yeah.
1 in another, and you don't know where the location
Well, I know
is.
where the other one was. I know where
Like,
one of them was. Definitely on the Nellis test range. That was the one that was in the prison cell, and that was in the S2 area of Nellis test range.
okay, so one of them was at least at
Yeah.
Nellis, and then there was a cavern somewhere where an alien got loose and killed a kid.
Well,
Correct?
there was more than there were men, women, and children in that cavern. There was probably about.
Why were there men? Why were there children in the cavern?
I
I'm just
thought that
asking.
perhaps that these beings, these NHI, were going to take these people and abduct them and do whatever they felt like to them, and that these people were being held against their will. They all looked very fearful when we came into the cavern, and they were screaming because this thing was trying to hurt them and kill them. And yeah, it was just a horrible mess for them.
All right, so you grabbed a gun, or you were given a gun that you can't really identify, and you used the gun to kill the
Yeah.
alien, right?
Yep.
We got Quest. He's been very patient down there. I don't know you, so I hope you got a good question, Quest. Go ahead.
I appreciate the letting me come up and ask this question. Thank you. And I want to appreciate Mr. Sands for your courage and your patience in expressing yourself and your experiences. I'm sure it's not an easy thing to do. I've spent decades accumulating different testimonies and statements from people and assessing it actually. And I'm listening to your tonality and structure and and the way you're expressing yourself. Um, and it takes a certain courage because the truth is a lot harder for people to digest. Or I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And I know that there's non-terrestrial elements to our operations
Yeah.
here. I understand that they're unconventional in methods and asset utilization when it comes to force. So I can, from what you're describing, it looks like you were used for one of these missions, and I'm sure several missions are going on, and they have been. And so, that being said, on reflection of all the things you've experienced and are aware of, what would your message to people be if you could just plainly state it? Thank you.
Well, seeing both the good and the bad of it all is what I experienced. It goes back to even my faith. That aside from the bad parts of this that we've been going over in more detail than I ever thought I'd ever get to, that there's a good side to it all as well. And that's the side that really matters. And that also matters even here is just being humans, even if there wasn't an NHI presence or anything else, that we know we can do better. Honestly, that's really what the message is from me to you guys and everybody else, is that regardless of what your experience level is, what you've been involved in, be the best person that you can be. Know yourself, and be the best person you can be as a dad, a parent, a friend, whatever walk of life you find yourself in, and just try to give people a break and let them know that, hey, I wasn't there with you, buddy, but I can see it, I'm here for you, help. I'm here to help. And that's really what I'm about, is that I'm trying to help the other whistleblowers. And I'm trying to help the public as well, because they need to understand that. And the only reason I even think that I at the end of it all, that really matters between why I want to talk to the public and talk to you guys, is that you guys deserve to know the truth. That's the first step of this. But second of all, you need to understand that even aside from the fact that there is an NHI presence, even the NHI would tell you they want you to be the best you can be, and that they know you can do better. And that's really what the problem is that we're standing here fussing over every day, and even in politics, is the corruption, the crime, the awfulness, even on social media, the stupidities that we get into, the hurt we do to others. I mean, out of all the creatures on earth, we have words and communication with each other, and we have the power to break people. We have the power to also love people and encourage them. And I would beg you, as my message to you, is that try to always love and heal rather than tear down and destroy. And that's really what it is.
Yeah, but how could you say that about the NHI or aliens when you just told everybody that they ripped a kid in
Yeah,
half?
but that's
Like, I
just one
understand, like,
faction of the NHI. They're the ones that are the problem children. You got to understand, think about it logically. If there is other intelligent life out there, they have the same problems we do. They have people that commit crimes. They've got factions even amongst their own peoples that they have to police up from time to time. They get into wars with each other, one to another, just like we get into wars. So there's good and bad. I'm not saying that everything I experienced in the program was bad, but yeah, those missions, I was being sent in there because these were the rogues, the nasty ones. I was being asked to eliminate and exterminate the nasty ones out of our society, out of our world. That's what I was doing for the program.
Yeah,
Mr.
allegedly.
Sands.
Okay, K Factor, you're next. You've been very patient, so go ahead.
Hi, Jade.
Hey.
Okay, hold on.
Oh,
sir.
Yes.
So you don't have a CK number?
No.
Why is that?
They didn't. It's a Black World program. They didn't give me that CK number, if that's what you think it is.
If that's what I think it is?
Yeah. So what do you, well, let me make sure the acronym is the acronym. What does CK mean to you?
Confirm kill.
Oh, that.
Were you not proud of the work you were doing for your country?
No, we did not tally up all that. As far as I knew, maybe somebody else was keeping tabs of that. I was just.
So as a human being, you're going in and you're taking out my people, and you're
You're going to tell me you didn't keep track of the
I didn't.
lives you took?
I did not. I knew who I killed, but that was it.
Why would you not keep track of that? It would be something you should be proud of.
I'm not proud of it.
You're serving your country.
I was doing this under duress. They were doing this. They were going to give me.
No, I understand that. They were threatening your family.
Yeah.
I understand that, sir.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do.
You're not going to keep track of the missions you were a part of?
Nope. I don't.
Why?
I'm not into that. I would never track how many things I killed. Never.
Were you ever in communication with Dark Star?
No.
And I understand you must have a level of PTSD that's off the fucking charts.
Yep.
Am I correct?
I used to. I used to have a lot worse.
Oh, you got over it?
Yeah, I've gotten treated for it, and I've.
Okay, so that begs me to ask you the question: how do you feel? I'm giving edifice. Okay, I'm getting edification to the fact that you did actually assassinate entities, biological entities from another dimension and another realm, another planet, another solar system, another galaxy. That begs me to ask you, how do you feel that you may have been key to a intergalactic proliferation of a vitriolic form of retribution and
yeah, I agree. And honestly, when I think about,
so do you think that you are forgotten by their parents, by their families?
I have no idea. Probably not. I would think I'm probably, looked down upon. But
I'm not looking down upon you. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah. There's always somebody who suffers whenever we're in war, and somebody has to be killed.
Well, yeah, that's it.
So,
The war
that's
is
the way I
hell.
feel about
War
it.
is hell. Yeah, war is hell, isn't it?
Yep. And my dad went through Vietnam, the same thing. He told me a lot of people that he killed and that he was not proud of, and I'm not proud of it either. I didn't kill as many as he did, but
yeah, you announced yourself here on X that you are an assassin.
Yeah,
you're an assassin.
Yep. But I honestly,
of entities.
Yeah, but I never knew who was in charge. For all I knew, it could have been the NHI that had some people working for them that were part of the
All
program.
I knew is,
I don't know.
I'm a former member of the U.S. Army, and I'm not going to divulge what I did unless I get doxxed, and then I will discuss that at that moment. But why would you just publicly announce that you're an NHI assassin? Like, why would you just, are you looking for attention? Because
No, it came up in
it doesn't seem to me like you're giving us any key information as to how to fight off these
I didn't want to talk
NHI.
about it.
Wait, let me finish, sir, please. It doesn't seem to me like you're giving us any information like, hey, these beings are coming and this is how they operate and this is what you need to know in order to protect yourselves against these bad actors from another dimension or another reality or another planet that have UAP technology that are millions or thousands of years against us. It seems to me like you are just saying, hey, I killed aliens. Look at me. Now that this UFO flap is going on.
No, it's not like that. This is something that I only discuss when people ask me about it. And the first time it came up,
nobody asked you about it. You publicly announced
No,
yourself.
he was asked. No, this was a podcast.
Okay, maybe I missed that. I apologize.
Let me give you a little background. When I came out, what was it, March, April, or whatever? Somebody asked me if I knew what 20 and back was. At that point, I thought I knew, but I didn't know. All I knew at that point was 20 and back was part of a mercenary kind of a mission. So I answered the question, yes. And then later on, I told them we didn't call it 20 and back. It was just dirty work. that I had to do for them, and that's the first time I ever had to mention it. And ever since then,
That's very offensive to
somebody
reword.
always comes out and asks me a question about this, and every time they want to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and I'm like, can you please stop? I don't like talking about this.
I'm not going to stop, and I respect you. I do, and I'm being earnest with you. But you know, the subject has been brought to the surface,
Yes.
and now you must face the hard questions,
And I
and
am
you
ready
must
to do
answer
that.
them honestly.
And that's why I'm here. I'm being as honest with you guys as I possibly can. And
Okay, so that was all right. I have a couple more questions before I relent my time.
Yeah.
What was your role in the CENTCOM realm during your time, and how do you describe how you were deployed, and how were you debriefed about what your targets were?
Well, I never worked for CENTCOM when I was in the program, but I did work for CENTCOM.
I meant CENTCOM/JSOC.
Oh, those were just times when I was called up by the JSOC monitoring lead. I think his name was Jamie. Can't remember his last name. But anyway, Jamie would call us up and he would ask for support because he doesn't have the organic assets to have a 5 or even 6 person team. It was just him assigned to JSOC. Whenever JSOC was getting ready to deploy, he was required to contact the people that were in his career field, like myself, for support. And like I said, a couple of times, that's how I got called up. So it wasn't like I was living with JSOC. I was just called up by JSOC for missions for a couple of weeks, and then we'd take off.
So if they spotted a target that they needed your
and I'd be
specific
monitoring the
MOS
telephones,
for,
and Jamie would say, okay, I'm not going to tell you what our target is. I can't do that, but you're here to monitor the phones and tell me and report to me things that are mission relevant, that states that our mission got compromised by somebody blabbing to their wife or whatever back home, and that kind of thing.
Who is Jamie?
He was the lead telecommunications monitoring guy for JSOC when I was there.
Okay, and
it's since been taken over by a person called
I don't want to know that name. Please don't compromise anybody else.
Yeah.
I want to know, my second to last question, I want to know how you felt. What was going on? What was stirring in your mind? What remains to this day inside of you after your very first assassination? And are you proud of it?
I'm not proud of it, number one. And it hits me like a nightmare. It's like a flashback, just like what I had to go through just to describe answer the questions here in the room tonight. But yeah, other than that, I try to forget about it like most good soldiers do. You just deal with it.
Why would you want to forget about it? You committed yourself to doing it.
Well, that's the thing, is I can't forget about it. I wish I could. That's the whole thing, is that it's a nightmare for me. I'm not proud of what I did. I don't want to go back to that place and do all those things. I'm just glad I fucking survived, honestly.
Do you realize the lessons we could have learned?
All right, real quick. You've asked a lot of questions. We do have to move on. They're good questions, but we do need to move on to the hands. Arthur, I don't know who was next. I see Ryder, Sombro. They've been.
I think Somber, the Grider, then Andrea.
Yield to Grider.
Yeah, and I got to go soon. I've got to make some dinner. But yeah, I'll take some more questions. What did you say? We have like 3 more people that want to ask questions?
Pass mine to Grider.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, let me answer those 3, and then I got to get something to eat.
Go ahead, Grider.
Thank you. Good night. K-Factor out.
Can you tell me, I've just got one question about your story, about one of the stories when you had the, and then I have something to say after that. But, so your story about the desert, right? Where you the half frozen NHI that was in the desert. Can you go into detail? You said that you gave the liner of your jacket, correct? If I'm not mistaken, to the NHI. And did you have any telepathic communication with that NHI like you did with the crazed kind of lunatic killer one that you killed in the cave? With that
Yeah, I
half
did.
frozen one, was it the same type of communication?
Yes, it was the same kind of communication. However, with the guy in the desert, it was very civilized feeling, peaceful. It was
What
not
did it say to
threatening.
you?
He audibly was trying to talk to me, and it sounded like Norwegian or some other language I didn't know. But I, for some reason, was able to understand what he was saying the whole time, and that's the part that
Okay.
was telepathic.
Do you still talk to any of the people that you served with? Because I know, like me, like I was in the army, and I mean, I wasn't anything like you. I mean, I was a field artillery guy, just a normal, as Arthur would classify it, basic bitch field artillery, quote unquote. So I mean, nothing special, but I know that I can still talk to all of them. I mean, people from basic training, like I'm in contact with still. Have you talked to any of those like program guys still? You got Facebook? I mean,
Oh
anybody,
yeah,
just one of them,
yeah.
even one of them.
I saw them in 2020, early 2022 in like February, because when I was working for the UAP Task Force Forum, or working on the forum, not working for them. I kind of keep myself from saying that. Yeah, I did reach out to them. I poked their names into an email, and I got a response. And so, yeah, I know that they're still there. They know who I
Because
am.
that
They
would
know
be your
about.
best bet of like bolstering your case. Because I know, like me, like I had a sighting of I had a black triangle fly over my head in basic training at Fort Sill, and like I know that if I was to come out with that story and like try to market it or whatever you want to talk about, I would definitely like have like some of my buddies there to kind of support it, right? Like, is there not
Yes.
one of these fellow guys that you served with that is willing to kind of come out and like tell his side of the story and kind of bolster your credibility?
Yeah, it's up to them. I'm not going to force them to do so, but I did give names to Congress, and they were the ones who went out and looked for them and found some. Some of them, the
Okay.
people that seem to have maybe passed on or whatever. I do have other people that even during the movie being developed that said they knew two of the people that were there the previous week when the UFO came onto the range that were part of
Cool.
my team going to Black Mountain. So there have been people, but I said, are they willing to come and talk on the film? And he said, no, they are not comfortable. So I know there
Cool.
are
All right.
people
Thanks.
out
And I mean,
there, but you'd have to talk to people.
okay. Yeah. Jason, I would love to ask you more questions about like the WeFunder campaign when with the first fund, the first hand fund, but I'm not going to hog up any more time. What I will say, man, is that like as a veteran, dude, it's really hard for me not to be like I'm not like this is not. It's a bad situation for you too. Like putting myself into your shoes, it's like either way, either you're an intergalactic murderer, like an intergalactic war criminal, or you're lying and you're disgracing everybody that's put on the uniform, that served people, that every veteran you're spitting in the face of. So either way, man, it's just I can empathize with you from that perspective, as in you're in a tough situation. But man, dude, if like if it's ever proven that you're lying, man, like, I mean, dude, like just shame on you. If it's I'm like, just shame on you, man. Cause like,
well,
it's really
I'm
dishonoring.
comfortable.
It's dishonoring everybody that has came before us and everybody that has given their life. Okay. And I've had friends that lost their life. Okay. Overseas. And like,
Yeah.
to
I'm
have
sorry about
you
that.
running around making people think that there's soldiers out there that are mindless murderers, because that's the exact opposite of the people that I served with.
You keep
Okay?
calling him a mindless murderer, but that is not what he described. So I wish you would stop calling him that.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
you're talking about
dude,
the things that
you're just.
all right, look, it's
I don't
no
believe you.
different.
Is what I'm
Look,
saying, and I'm
it's
gonna
no
step
different
down.
than a
So
special forces guy being told this is your target, take them out. That's all I did. I did
I'm
what I
telling
was
you that
told to do. I
I
did
think
what I
that
was
you're lying.
ordered to do.
Okay, I don't believe you at all, and I'm a veteran. I
Well,
serve
good.
not in
You're
special
welcome for that
forces.
opinion.
And shame on you, man. Shame on you.
Well,
I wish you
thank
the
you.
best, though. Take care.
Okay, yeah, wish you the best too. Thanks.
I'm going to just real quick, and I got to go. I'm going to piggyback off of that. So my best friend has been JSOC for about 8 years, 10 years now. Legit JSOC out of North
Yep.
Carolina. He definitely does the thing, and I couldn't be more proud of him. I've had the privilege of hanging out with at least 20 operators in one spot, and I could tell you not one of them, not one, talk about, brag about, or even tell stories about the people they killed.
Right.
And the fact that I know those people, and I've spent time with those people, and I know how they act. I know how they act when they're, with their buddies, with the guys they work with, or away. I could tell you that the fact that you are coming on here and you're saying these things, and you're saying you ran these special missions, contradicts everything that I've ever been exposed to by JSOC and special
Well, there's
forces.
been a number of people that took out
it's
Osama bin Laden. They described in gory detail how they took out people and killed them.
Fuck you. I'm off this panel. Fuck you. Don't compare yourself to those guys ever.
Yeah, I know. That's
You
what I'm
fucking
telling you.
piece of
I'm not
shit. I'm
saying
off
I
this
am.
panel.
I'm not
Fuck
saying
you.
I am a
Fuck
JSOC
you.
guy.
Go drive.
Oh.
So this is what happens right here when you get veterans, people that served, that know this stuff in the space, because they can read through bullshit
Well,
real
Somber's
fast. And
not
I'm
a
telling you right
vet,
now,
so he's just kind of
well,
lost it there. So
well, I can tell you he's not wrong. And that's crazy to compare yourself, because my friend who I'm talking about was on that mission. And that's ridiculous, man. You can't compare
well,
yourself to
he
those
made a
guys.
valid point. Was what you said is that no one in the military or in special forces talks about their kills. That's just not true. Some of them do, and some of them write books about it.
Yeah, and then those guys are constantly ridiculed by special forces guys to this day. So that's the problem. Is those guys don't do this kind of thing, and the fact that you don't have any special forces designations or anything in your DD 214. There's nothing to suggest that you've ever been a part of anything like that. Matter of fact, if you have been, you should be able to post your ribbons online, your awards and decorations or whatever online. You should be able to point to something that can verify the things that you're saying. And I would hope that you would post.
Well, let me
post
respond
Go
a
ahead,
little bit.
Jason.
My dad never told me about his special forces day until he was later on in life, in his 60s and 70s. That's when he finally started really telling me all his war stories, and he just wanted to get off his chest. And all those times of his youth, 40s, 50s, he didn't say a word about it. I mean, I knew he served in Vietnam. Same thing with me. I kept my mouth shut. I'm 61 now, and it's time to just tell everybody, yeah, this is how bad it sucks, and this is why we should be concerned about this program. And I honestly don't think that talking about what I had to do in that cavern that night really matters a hill of beans. It doesn't. In the big scheme of things, the only thing I really want people to understand is, and even Congress, this program's been around for 80 stinking years. It's about time to do an assessment. There's a huge puddle of money that has been dumped into it with no accountability. And for the next year and how many God-forsaken years, the DOD cannot again account for these billions of dollars. It's about time to do an assessment. That's really what I really want. I don't want to be talking about this crap I had to do because I was forced to do this forced labor for the program. I don't want to talk about that. It has nothing to do with what is real in my life. What's important to me right now is just to make sure that you guys know that this program needs to be reviewed. I want you guys to talk to your Congress people about it. I want to get to a better spot. I want the program people to hear me talking about it because they know what I'm talking about. I worked for them, for crying out loud. And they're the ones who need to consider about what they're doing. Is it right, wrong, or indifferent? They need to really think about this because we are not living in the McCarthy era of 1950s. We're in a different world now. We don't have to hold the torch that we held 80 years ago. And those are the kind of things that really need to change right now. And until that happens, guys like me and other whistleblowers are trying to bring out the fact that, yeah, there's something going on. And we need to have somebody, please, that has the authority, please go out there, investigate the military and the industrial
Well,
military
Trump's the only
complex.
one that has authority. Trump's the only person that can open those doors. They're not going to listen to anyone but POTUS. But we got two more hands, and I know you got to go. But hopefully you can get that. Andrea?
Hey, Jason. I'm going to come in controversial, you guys. Jason, I believe you, and I want to thank you for your service. I
Thanks.
have a huge place in my heart for soldiers who served in these programs, and I feel vehemently that you guys got fucked over 6 ways to Sunday, and
Oh,
it will
goodness
be
me.
one of my future missions to make sure that you guys get the military recognition you deserve for serving against your will under these conditions, and then to have you be gaslit on top of it breaks my heart.
Thanks.
I do want to ask a question. To the best of your knowledge or memory, the unit that you were with, do, do the names Solar Wardens or Radiant Guardians mean anything to you?
Solar Warden seems to ring a little bit of a bell, but I'm not sure if it was solar something else. But no, that's about that's the only word you use that actually kind of struck me as maybe there was something on one of the missions that I intercepted. Yeah, that dealt with something that said solar or something or other.
Thank you. And thank you again for your service.
Yep, no problem.
So real quick, are you saying that that's a program, like a special program that you're on, that they recognize that name?
I'd really have to jog my memory and get back with you later. Right now,
it's part of Space Force.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize this enough that you can't do that. Like if this was real, like you signed an NDA, you're not supposed to acknowledge if you were part of any program.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't. Yeah, that is no. I do know because an NDA specifically states that at least for 75 years or more, you can't say these things. You can't acknowledge that there's a program, and the fact that you keep doing it recklessly shows that you're probably lying about this. And it's so
Cannot
at this
confirm or
point, it's so
deny.
irritating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving this. I'm leaving this space because this is ridiculous. And I just want people to realize, like, when you see veterans calling out somebody that claims these things, that claims to be a veteran, listen to them because we're not just all crazy. We know how this thing works, and the things that Jason has been saying is not how the military operates. We're trying to tell you that, like, that's not how it works, Jason. Like, that's not special forces alone. The things you're claiming, there is an extreme process that you have to go through, and it's the tip of the spear to even get involved in the things that
I
you're
get
even
it.
talking about.
I know you didn't work in the program like I did. I agree.
There is no program.
I agree.
There is no
You've got to understand that just because you're a veteran, you don't know everything that goes on at the Secretary of the Air Force and lower echelons. Nor do I. I would never claim to do that. All I know is what I did. You know what you did. And, there's probably some stuff you've done that I'd have to take with a grain of salt myself,
No, everything I do is verifiable.
Well, probably not.
And I don't exaggerate or lie about my service.
But you got to understand from a skeptical, and I know you do understand, Jason, that we want to see the documents. We want to see everything you can.
I will work on getting you some more documents from my past that establishes where I was, that I was in a special access program, and the dates. I can give you that at least. And I will post that, like I said, tomorrow. At least you have that to work with. I have provided, other classified information to Congress that I can't discuss here about other things. Now, I had no idea what solar whatever it was. So I was never read into a program that had that name on it, nor do I think it was a name. All I'm saying is I remember hearing something solar whatever. I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Later, dude. All right, one more question from John Byrne. And
One more question in you.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me all?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yep.
Thank you. Jason, look, I'm looking at the title of this thing. It's Jason Sands Tells All. Going back to the 20 and back thing, and I know you're saying you feel uncomfortable talking about this and discussing it, but the fact is that you have mentioned this, yeah. But what I would like to ask is that, you know, in terms of the how that happened, can you describe any craft in that and how that, any propulsion methods, anything like that, and anything at all? You must know this.
Well, yeah, but those deal also with some weapon systems. I know that the encounter in the desert had nothing to do with other than me driving up for my day's work. So that was not classified at all. That was just us traveling that day. I have had other.
Sorry to interrupt, but in terms of the weapon system, can you describe what that capability was?
No, honestly, no, I don't. I wouldn't say it anyway, but yeah, I do know of other weapon systems that are being developed, but those are the kind of things that are for a classified environment. But
I'm not asking you to divulge classified information. I'm asking you just to describe what the capability was in terms of what the propulsion of the weapon or whatever.
I can tell you what I suspect, but it's mainly just because of what I saw.
But why would you suspect it? You would know, surely.
Well, just because I would say it's electromagnetic, and that jives with what I know as well as what I've seen. But just for the craft that I've seen in my life, I've seen some in my childhood, some while I was in the military, and others after I retired, that I can't always explain. But they all were very silent. They did emit some sort of light from the underside, and to me, those are all types of, I think, some kind of electric or plasma or electromagnetic type device that is emitting that type of light.
Okay. So I've got that. But in terms of how you got there, in terms of 20 and back, yeah, and it's you that mentioned that, not me. Just to be clear.
Yeah, let's just call it dirty work. I don't want to call it 20 and back because apparently that has a lot of
we can call it dirty work, whatever you want. Yeah. But you had to get there and come back.
Yeah.
How did you get there and come back?
That was when they would drug us, and they would, give you an injection and it made you black out. So that's how you would just be taken, in the dead of the night, and they'd inject you, and then you go do your mission, you get injected again, and you find yourself back at home.
And to be clear, you were aware this was about to happen?
No, nobody would ever give me warning. They would just do it.
So they just drug you and take you off.
As far as it's about how I would describe it. It was just there was no foreshadowing of what was about to happen during that time. And again, this was outside of my program time. This was just me doing dirty work.
So while you were there, notwithstanding that the fact that you actually come back or whatever, but when you were there, what did you see? In terms of craft, whatever.
All I saw really was the helicopter. I never saw an alien craft. I was just
so there's a helicopter there, but where was there? Just to be clear,
I don't know. That they would wake me up en route to the location.
But was it outside of planet Earth? Is what I'm asking.
One of them was outside. One of them was inside a prison.
Right. Okay. So you're saying it's outside of Earth. Yeah. I'm not asking you.
No. There was a confusion there. Not outside of Earth.
Yeah. Okay. Just outside somewhere. I don't know the location where it was. It was very cold though that night, and it was nighttime. Definitely dark.
But on Earth.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I hope it was Earth. I hope it was Earth. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of funny. I needed a laugh. Anyway, so that's kind of how it rolled. But yeah, that's, like I said, who knows? Maybe some of the commentary about what was that? People inserting memories into my head. Yeah, I suppose we've already got that technology as well. People have already testified that happens. So I'd be happy to know that, I'm a victim of that rather than suffering these memories as if I actually did it.
And understood. I mean, the one thing that troubles me is that people in that space always, you're all signing these deep, NDAs and whatnot, but yet, yourself and Grush and all these are still talking about it. Okay, and I mean, with Grush going to Congress and whatnot, he's not giving anything specific. He's saying, you've got to talk about it in a skiff.
Yeah.
But you're still talking about it. Elizondo as well. He still talks about it. He's written a book for crying out loud.
Can I see so? Can I intervene and say something?
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
we can do one more. Yeah.
I just want to say that I'm an interplanetary researcher on all levels, and from everything I've experienced in my life to this moment, trying to decode the map of the Earth and the planets and what's happening with the sun, I would advise you to not disclose any information.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
Yeah, you're out of here, bud. Go somewhere else. Intergalactic. What did he fucking say? Whatever the stupid bullshit he just said was. Jesus fucking Christ. This is the problem, guys. That right there. This is what we're trying to fight against. That right there. That's how you end up looking for med beds over Melbourne, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, I never heard the term intergalactic whatever fleet at all.
Yeah, I think that's what he's just doing, Jason. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. No, I didn't. The only organized anything was just the readings I've done, like from the Mahabharata and things like that, to try to understand what I'd been exposed to. And they mentioned something about the meeting of the oracles used to take place someplace over by India, or modern day India, or something like that. But yeah, I've never heard anything about it, intergalactic, whatever he was talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember what he said. I think I lost it at intergalactic. What was it? Intergalactic? What the fuck did he just say?
I don't know. You guys, I couldn't quite make it out.
Well, I booted him. But Nicole, if you got enough for one last question, and we get Nicole in.
Okay.
It's not a question. I haven't heard your story, Jason, but I've spoken to you before.
Yeah.
All I have to do is listen to your voice, and that says enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I came into this room, and it was like a lynch mob. And I'm sorry, because you don't deserve that. Because whether that is or isn't, I don't care. I can hear in your voice that you don't particularly want to be doing this. You don't want to be,
No.
Put on the spot. And I can tell your honesty, and you're a lovely chap, because I've spoken to you before in other groups.
Yeah, I find it very hard not to answer people. Honestly, that's my thing. Is I wear my heart on my sleeve, and if you ask me a question,
I feel that. I get you. It's all right.
Thank you for supporting me. Then.
And I can feel the weight that you've carried, and it's difficult. And some people might be veterans in here, and we love them, and we graciously accept everything they've done as well.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that think they know better.
Well, yeah.
You're a great chap, and God bless you.
And I have the deepest respect for them as well, because I know they've been through their things. I just wish everybody would stop thinking that.
I know. We're all on the same side at the end of the day, and you've got to carry these memories with you.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Take care.
Yep.
God
you
bless.
too. God bless you too.
Hi, Jason. My name is Shelley. I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. I want to go back to some of the things that jumped out at me. One of them was you were going around the cosmos and you found this gem. Yeah? Did I do that right? Like, could you go back to that, please? Explain that to me.
Oh, no. I know what she's talking about. It was when I was talking about,
because I know.
I was answering a question about, well, why would there be a war on?
And there's competition over the planet.
Right.
Right.
That's right. And I was just saying that, even in our own solar system, this planet is a gem because it has such a biodiversity, and it has a lot of resources compared to a lot of the other planets, because they're all desolate on the land surface. I don't know what they're like underneath that. And that's what I was referring to, is that this planet is a gem amongst planets. That's what I was saying.
The planet is wide open while the others are enclosed.
That too, yes.
So you're aware of that, right?
Well, what do you mean by open and closed, though? You mean?
Meaning it's more like a snow globe when you drive by it rather than Mars that looks like a
Oh,
red
yeah.
casted. Like it's not casted.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's not encased.
well,
Right.
I think there was talking about also, some of the things that are detectable with the new James Webb Telescope is that's why they suspect that there might have been lights on that one planet that's, so many light years from us. And we put off the same thing. It's kind of a big red flag saying, hey, yeah, we exist. We got a lot of electronic emanations coming off of the planet as well. That's probably a telltale sign. And who knows,
So you don't feel like you're from this planet, that you are an outsider coming in? Is that what you're saying?
No, I definitely am human. I know that.
No, that's not what I asked you.
What do you mean then?
Because we
Like
have a lot of
soul, like your soul lineage, I guess is what you're asking.
yeah, like if from what I heard from the testimony or what he's saying or whatever this is,
Yeah.
that he's cruising along and they found this planet and this planet's fucking different and there's a lot of competition over it. Well, I would like to identify who just drove by and decided they were
Oh,
gonna,
yeah. I would love to find out exactly what they were monitoring on these craft. I know that
who's them and they. Like when
well,
you
when I'm
refer to
talking
them and they, do you know who that is?
well, either the intel community or the people in the program that have intelligence sensors and things, but there has to
How
be.
high is your security clearance, by the way? You can say that. You have a right to
Yeah,
say that. You can say that.
it's TSSCI, which is the gateway clearance you have to get read into special access.
Right. Now
For
you said the word gateway, correct?
well, I mean, I don't mean it in that way. I mean, like the base requirement is to have a TSSCI and usually a polygraph.
You
Then,
need to stabilize your vocal cords while you're speaking.
right.
Stabilize your vocal cords while you're speaking.
Okay, I don't know where this is going, but Jason, are you hungry? Do you want to get some food now?
I think we can
All
let
right, yeah, I can
Jason
talk
go ahead.
again, but yeah,
So thank you,
I'm kind
Jason.
of hungry, but yeah, that was it. And then so anyway, yeah, I did have a clearance, and I actually got read into other programs as well.
Okay.
Thank you
Your
for being here
innocence is
tonight. That was
stable.
really appreciated, Jason. I was so glad you were able to come out tonight.
Yep.
I need you to just stabilize your innocence cord. That's all. Okay. Now, there's been a lot of crazy
Shane,
shit going
are you
on
gonna
this
let this go
planet.
on, Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to, because I'm the one that's holding him there, making him talk right now. So
Are you
please,
really gonna make this about you right
Andra,
now, Gaia?
yeah, it is about me, bitch. Shut the fuck up, or I will bring Hella in here, cunt.
Oh God.
Okay, so there's some background going on here, Jason, that you're not involved with.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Can we move on now?
But thank you for giving me a chance to speak.
Thanks for coming, Jason.
Yeah, and I just hope that you guys would pay me the same respect I paid you guys, because I know people have said bad things about me, but I'm very
Well, I'd like goodwill to go both ways.
yes. That's
I'm
all I'm
saying.
asking for, is that we're all at the end of the day, we want an answer as to what is this program actually doing.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
this planet, you don't just come and take it, man.
No,
Okay,
you
it's
don't.
rapey, and you know what you did. So I'm done.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I get what she's saying, but yeah, there's probably some other conversation that I don't know what that was all about. So yeah, I'm sorry that I've said some things that have upset people, and even the veterans. I didn't expect to do that, but I'm sure there's some way we can get over it all. And that's who I am at the end of the day. Is I'm just trying to be who I am, answer people's questions, and do what I can to help get to the bottom of what I think needs to be an investigation by the Congress, and get it done properly. That's all I care about right now. That's all I'm really on board for. But anyway, thank you, everybody. You guys started off rough, but like I said, it ended up well. So I'm glad I came into the space, even though I knew it was going to be very adversarial.
You wrecked him. You wrecked him, Jason. You convinced practically everyone. I'm still on the fence because I still need to see the proof, but you've definitely shown that yourself that you can come and, stand toe to toe with everyone.
Well, thank you. But I will post those documents. I owe them also to some other folks. So I'm going to highlight the personnel reports that has some of my background during those years, so you guys can at least have that to go off of. I wish I could give you guys everything else you want, but a lot of that's wrapped around some classified stuff that is only appropriate to tell Congress or the ICIG at this point. So anyway, thank you very much. I'm going to go get some food now. You guys ought to do the same.